want to share with you guys is called The Cycle of Crime. I had the pleasure of reading this on Monday night for a place called Kill Radio. It's a long poem, but it says a lot too. That's what I like about it. So the first poem is The Cycle of Crime. Police officer, enforcer of the law, we finally meet again. I'm here before the court. The jury is present. The judge is benched, and you have been duly sworn. I'll be acting in my own defense, a role that I take with confidence. For the past 6 months, I have spent countless hours in a county jail, handcuffed to a bench. I read through cases that at first made no sense, but I learned. I sat in that law library until my eyes would burn. I awaited this day that we'd come face to face. That's why I'm here. That's why I came, to bring out the truth and unslander my name. I want to be cleared and acquitted of blame. Now you listen here. I have something to say. Do you realize the DA has offered a deal? I was offered to walk with my record sealed. I was offered time served. That's what they assured. But that meant this case would have never been heard. And yet the prosecution is praised for their fight against crime and for a conviction rate that is exceptionally high. But is the public aware of the cases like mine that are swept under the rug without ever being tried? Because why would anyone in their right mind stay locked in a jail, unable to make bail, when simply with the scratch of a pen they could admit to a charge and be free once again? Police officer, accuser of this crime, there's worry in your eyes. Does it come as a surprise that this court should hear me speak, and with my practiced flow of words that will keep them edging on their seats? Did you ever think it would come to this when you stopped me on the streets? Or did you think that I would disappear with another guilty plea? Police officer, maker of arrest, I see you've worn your Sunday's best. You've donned your formal collared shirt, your pants are neatly pressed, your hair is trimmed, you're freshly shaved. The jury's had a look at you. It's clear they'll be impressed. Now take a look at me. I woke up to the sound of keys and a flashlight in my face. My keepers fed me rancid eggs and texturized vegetable proteins. I tried to shave with a single blade razor that ripped hairs from my face. I tweaked on freeze-dried coffee. And I tried to write a few meaningful words of poetic verse with the golf pencil on the blank pages of my Bible. God forgive me, but I just wanted to rhyme. Police officer, witness for the state. Before this trial date was set, there were motions to complete. There were several sets of documents to be supported by their briefs, and this is called discovery. And as a defendant, I'm entitled to ask this court to provide an account of your past, an unredacted history complete with all the facts. That means any formal reprimands, any use of force, any type of disciplines or punishments of sorts. And would you believe the size of the file produced? I spent that entire first night simply counting the times that a person came forward with claims of abuse. That isn't something that's easy to do. It wasn't just once. It wasn't just twice. But 36 times. 36 times you came under review. 36 times that you had been accused of excessive force, civil rights violations, misconduct reports, insubordinations, accusations of brutality, a battery, improper behavior, and mishandling evidence, and various miscellaneous complaints. You've come before the board, internal affairs, internal reviews, a committee, and what do? They threw you back on the streets. Police officer, administer of force, let us define for this court what you do on these streets, for it's you to whom the state has tasked with the keeping of the peace. They furnished you with instruments you likely never need, a taser, an asp, canisters of gas, flashbangs, smoke grenades, and bear-stopping mace, handcuffs, zip ties, hobble restraints, a pistol, a shotgun, M16. But do you really need a gun that acts as a machine? Do you really need a modified, high-capacity magazine? Perhaps it's for intimidation, and maybe it's to show your force. But did you think about the impact that you left upon the youth? Did you think about the lives that were affected by the truth? Did you think about the minds that were frightened to the core? Did you see the little eyes that were peeking through their doors on that cold and fateful night when you stood outside in the middle of the street? It was 1:09 a.m. on a dark strip of Broadway in downtown LA. Your suspect was prone. He was subject to search. His legs were spread, his hands entwined upon his head, and he decided to run, to take his chances before the beatings begun. And you took this chance to draw your gun. You fired 6 shots, you aimed for his back, and you claimed that this man was on the attack. Let's not forget, I read the reports. I know what you did. One of those shots caught the side of his head. He laid in the street, he lay there and bled, and you waited 18 minutes while securing the scene all by yourself before you finally called in the medics for help. But by then he was dead. Police officer, you son of a bitch, that was only but one of your crimes. Let's not forget, it was 36 times. And as I told you before, I read the reports. I pored over page after page after page dissecting this matter. I know exactly what happened the night you met me. It was getting late, around the time you were scheduled to quit, when your in-dash computer came up with a hit, a 211 PC. That's a serious crime, an armed robbery. The details listed: the suspect was black, last seen wearing a dark ski mask, a Dodgers cap, a hooded sweatshirt, and jeans. And being in the vicinity, you were dispatched that night to our troublesome street, a place infested with drugs and guns and gang activities, a hub for prostitution, among other things. Those are the words that you put into print, but you signed up to serve on this overtime shift, and cursing yourself, you circled the block when just at that moment you happened to spot a suspicious male walking alone, and you went into the zone. Your brakes squealed, your tires screeched, you came out of the car with a vengeance to preach. You wielded your weapon, and you yelled out to me, "Hold your hands up, motherfucker, freeze." I didn't have a hoodie, I sure wasn't black, and I was in no state to pose an attack. In fact, I was minding my business alone in the streets, just spending the night, my bottle of liquor, and me. Police officer, instiller of fear, it's clear that you knew I had nothing to do with an armed robbery, a 211 PC, or any violent felony. Maybe you thought I was trying to score, or trying to sell, or God knows what you thought it could be, but mine was a face you would come to know well. You've seen me on these streets with the rags that I wear. I wander along and I have not a care. I don't pay taxes, I don't go to work, I wait my check every month on the 1st, I hardly bathe, I hardly shave, and I sleep in a vacant lot, because Skid Row is a dangerous place. And that's what I choose to do. But to you, the police, I'm an eyesore, and therefore I must be an addict. I must be a tweaker, a junkie, a thief. But would you believe that I've never done smack? I've never done coke, crystal meth, or inhaled PCP. I've never smoked crack. I take pride in the fact that never in my life have I stolen a thing. Nope, not once, not me. It may be true that I begged on these streets, and I've held out my hand for a sandwich to eat, and I may have a problem with the liquor I drink. That much was clear by the slur in my speech. But you saw the need to parade me around in your high beam lights when you finally found that everything I just told you was true. There were no dime bags or wads of small cash, and I had not secreted a personal stash. This made you angry. You had wasted your time when you failed to turn up any proof of a crime. You checked both directions. You had to ensure that your next set of actions would go unobserved. Police officer, inflictor of pain, I finally came around in the hospital wing of Men's Central Jail, but the doctors explained that my head had swelled to an abnormal size. That night I suffered a fractured leg that had to be casted and held into place. There were several lacerations to my head and my face. There were numerous abrasions my body sustained. There were bruises, contusions. Both my eyes were swelled shut, and I couldn't see. Then came my keepers, not missing a beat. They stood for a moment. They laughed at me. Then they turned on their camera and they said this to me: "You have the right to remain silent. It's clear that you wanted to keep me in jail, a tactic of yours that has proven you well, because those behind bars are forgotten and lost, lives transformed to a numbering cost. We have not a choice if we want to complain, as we have not a voice to call out for change. But I made a difference. I finally explained the cycle of crime in this pro-police state. My name is Willis, and I rest my case.